The Word from the Third podcast is brought to you by Torfaen Volunteer Alliance. Hello, I'm Patrick Downs. Welcome to Word from the Third. On this edition, we're taking a look at all those amazing volunteers here in Torfaen with the TVA Volunteer Awards for 2020. So this happened virtually back in August, and hosting it is Callum Jones.
But with that, I think we'll make a start, and I'd like to bring my colleague Victoria Croker in.
I'd like to say thank you for everybody that has made the effort to attend. Usually it would be a celebration in a venue when we could all meet face to face, but we're going with the times, and hopefully this will be a success in a different way. So as you can see behind us, we've decorated the office as we would as an event. The main purpose of the event is to recognise volunteers across Torfaen and really see their contributions and make sure that you'll feel valued across the sector, because without you, many services and organisations wouldn't be able to run. And I think it's really important that you recognise, and we in this time, and as well as all the volunteers throughout the year who do it day in, day out, and we're looking really to celebrate your time of volunteering.
Lovely, thank you. Yes, so as Vicky said, we have got a little bit of housekeeping that we need to go through. Obviously, we haven't got to worry about any fire alarms. We'll be introducing each group or individual alongside the person who nominated them to say a few words, with an opportunity for each group or individual to say a few words afterwards should they wish. So there is an opportunity for you guys to say a few words if you wanted. Lastly, enjoy your cupcake. Many of you should have a cupcake with you, with the TVA logo on. So please feel free to enjoy those throughout the morning with a tea and coffee. And why not take a picture of yourself with your cupcake and tag us on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. And we're using the hashtag Torfaen Vol Awards with all our sort of social media channels there. So I think with that said, and that little bit of housekeeping, I think we'll move straight on into recognising some groups and individuals, and I'd like to bring in firstly Anthony Hunt, leader at Torfaen County Borough Council, who I believe is with us to say a few words, and Anthony will be doing some introductions later on as well.
I am. Thanks, Callum, and thank you everyone for coming along. I've just looked through the participant list, and there's a great sort of range of participants from right across the borough. So it's really good to see you all, even if unfortunately at the moment it is only virtually. I look forward to a time when we can get back together in person in the way that we would in other years. But I just wanted to say a couple of words very quickly at the start, just to say thank you first for the what you do, giving up your time to volunteer for other people. I think it's a great thing, and you make a real difference in our communities, and we've seen that more than ever in the last few months with how things have been. The difference that people in Torfaen have made, especially to some of the most vulnerable people in our communities, but also to people young and old, is huge, really. And also, I think we've seen the things that we've missed over the last few months, not being able to get together. Things like children's football teams, rugby teams, all sorts of different sports. Also, groups for older people that have not been able to meet. The value of those things has really shone through in the recent months by their absence in some cases. Gladly some of those things are getting back to into the swing of things, but it's only because of volunteers that those things can take place. So I think it's important to note the very real difference that's made by volunteers in communities like ours. And secondly, there's something above and beyond that I think volunteering brings, and that's the value of community spirit, above and beyond the sort of the material value of what you deliver. You are what make our communities great. We've not got the richest communities here in Torfaen. We've not got the most money, but what we have got is a fantastic community spirit of people pulling together to help each other through, especially in tough times. And I think that makes a massive difference. We've seen it in the help that's been delivered in terms of food, to people either shielding or who struggled because of the coronavirus crisis, either financially or for health reasons. We've seen it in people taking the time to do little things like walk other people's dogs and pick up the phone and speak to someone who might otherwise be isolated. That does make a huge difference, both to individual people's lives and also to our communities. And just one last thing, I don't think we should take any of that for granted, because I speak to people in other areas, and they haven't all got that community spirit. They haven't all got that strength of community that I think we have in Torfaen. So that's because of all of you, and I'd just like to say thank you for that as leader of the council, for the huge work you do, which has a huge value, not only economically. Our economy would fall over if it wasn't for volunteers, but also for the health of our wider communities. So thank you. I hope you enjoy this morning, and I look forward to introducing a few nominees myself.
Thank you, Anthony, for that, and very much echo Anthony's words there from us at TVA. So I think we'll move straight into recognising firstly some group nominations, followed by some individuals a little later on. But I think moving on to our first group, I believe we've got Torfaen Youth Forum. And I'd like to bring in Rhiannon Bennett, who coordinates a lot of the work that the Youth Forum does. And I'd like to bring in Rhiannon Bennett, who I believe is with us, to say a few words.
Hi, Callum. Hi, everyone. My name's Rhiannon. I work for Torfaen Council as the Participation Officer for Children and Young People. For part of my job, I support Torfaen Young People's Forum. And I nominated them this year for an award because, not only they're great every year, the work that they achieve in their community to improve the voice of young people and improve access for young people to have a say on decisions that affect them, it's incredible. But during lockdown, they did something else. They've reached out to thousands of young people through creating their own video content, creating fun videos, how to stay home, stay safe, the activities to do at home, lots of things. There was a whole campaign around Mindfulness Mondays, different activities to help keep your mental health strong, Workout Wednesdays, keep your physical health strong. They really stepped up. And I feel like we're a team. We're not just a forum. We're not just a group. They're a team, and I think we've got each other's backs, and we're working better than ever. So they really deserve. A lot of groups, during lockdown when you can't meet in person, some groups have dropped off. There's membership is lost in some other groups that I work with, but the forum has actually increased their membership by reaching out. New members have been joining us. So I'm so proud of them, and I just really want them to know how special they are and how wonderful the work is that they do. So, thank you. And I think we've got Maisie maybe here. I know she was a bit busy today, so she wasn't sure if she'd get here on time. Lauren was our member of UK Youth Parliament last year, so she's done a lot of work for us. She's here today. We've got Isabel Hepsey-Jones, who's our current UK Youth Parliament representative. She was elected during lockdown. She's with us here. And we've got Kieran Saunders, and he's the current chair of the Young People's Forum. So they've all played very key roles in keeping the forum running. I'm not sure which one of them wants to speak. Maybe Lauren or Izzy, or both of you, if you wanted to come in and say something. I'm not sure. I'm on holiday, sorry. So I'm doing this from my holiday. So I'm not sure which one of them wants to speak.
Yeah, I think for us, lockdown is not being a blessing, obviously, but I think for us, we've just taken a lot of opportunities that we can because obviously being young people, we're off school or off college. So we've just tried to embrace it with our social media, because before we were really active on Facebook, but now we've made a Twitter, we've made an Instagram, which I think has really increased our engagement with professionals, but also with younger people as well. I think we've come together as a forum during lockdown, which I like, because we're all really good friends. I've met some of my best friends through the forum, but definitely then during lockdown, I think we've just come together, and we're on our regional youth forums doing work on the additional learning needs code with the Welsh Government and stuff like that. So we've used it really well. So it's good, but I'm happy when we can actually meet in person, because I think we can get some different stuff done in person we can't get done online.
Thank you for that, Lauren. I should have mentioned, so the idea behind what we're doing here is, and if we was at an actual venue, we would now look to present some certificates. So you should see behind my colleagues, Vicky and Patrick, there are all your certificates, which we'll look to get out to you afterwards in the sort of coming days. So I think what we'll look to do, and again, thank you, Lauren, for talking, and I know how active yourself and many other sort of members of the Youth Forum have been. So thank you for that. I think we'll move on to our next group that we're going to recognise, which is Thornhill for You 2 Food Bank. And I believe we got Vicky Rogers joining us from Thornhill for You 2.
Hi, Callum. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here today. As Callum said, I am the Treasurer of Thornhill for You 2. Volunteer Management Committee. We set up emergency food bank with response to the coronavirus, and we've had very many volunteers come our way through lots of different agencies like TVA or just the local community. So I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. Yes, we do have a couple of the volunteers on here today. Hannah Volp, I wonder if you could say a few words?
Yeah, sure, Vicky, no problem. So I've been helping out with the Thornhill for You 2 food bank for the last few months since COVID happened, and TVA sort of put me in touch with Vicky, and it's been really rewarding. It's been a fantastic place. Every time I go there, there's lots of really enthusiastic people working really hard for the local community and putting together food bags, working hard to get funding and grants, and speaking to local businesses about getting food contributions. So it's just a really fantastic operation. I'm just really proud to be a part of it.
That is brilliant. Thank you for that, both. I know sort of working with you early on in the whole sort of pandemic and lockdown, very active, very quick, I suppose, to get things going. And, that all worked very well. And, I think the influx of volunteers that Vicky and Thornhill had was amazing. So thank you for that, both. I think so. We're going to move on to the Panteg House Committee, and I'm going to bring in Anthony Hunt again to say a few words. And I know that we're joined by Alan and a couple of other members from Panteg House. Anthony, if you'd like to come in and say a few words about the work that they're doing, and then I don't know whether Alan would like to come in afterwards and talk a little bit about what they've been doing throughout lockdown.
Thanks, Callum. And just to say thank you first to TVA for coordinating in this role and for all that you do to coordinate the work of volunteers throughout Torfaen. It really is very appreciated, and that's part of the reason I wanted to support these awards. The other reason I wanted to was some fantastic groups like the committee at Panteg House. They've really worked over the last couple of years, especially to put Panteg House right at the heart of our community in Griffithstown and Sebastopol. And that's a community that's facing a number of challenges, especially over the last few months. And the main reason I nominated them today was because of the fantastic work they've done, really stepping up to the plate in recent months. And we identified a need in the community, and they've responded to it fantastically, not only providing support to people, but also providing food and doing lots of things to help coordinate different groups like the Griffithstown Coronavirus Support Group, more of whom later. So I'd just really like to say thank you. I know it's been a difficult time for them at Panteg House. Of course, with venues closed, it's impacted on their day-to-day existence. But instead of just sort of staying away and complaining and shutting their doors, they've really opened their doors out into the community to help people at a very difficult time. The job they've done is absolutely fantastic. They converted, part of the building to help store not only food for people, but also other materials as well, school uniform, recycling boxes, everything like that. Nothing is too much trouble for them. So I'd just like to say thank you to them all and bring in Alan now.
Thank you, Anthony, for your kind words, and just like to say, you can't see my face, so I can't see my mouth. I'll be with you in a minute.
It was an improvement, Alan.
Thank you. Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'd just like to say as well, I'm just overwhelmed by the amount of volunteers out there in the different areas in Torfaen, helping people of different ages and different groups, and people, from the point of view of fitness, from the point of view of just getting together and being a group, from the point of view of supporting people in their homes and things like that. It's just fantastic what's going on. And I think this is a well-deserved recognition of that for you all. The Pandighouse Committee, as Anthony said, has put over part of the building to support people in these difficult times. What the committee have also decided to do is to continue with the food bank following, or hopefully after the COVID situation improves, but we intend to have the food bank there for the community for the foreseeable future, and also establishing a team of volunteers across the county to help people in their homes and things like that, with their perhaps gardening or going shopping for them. But that's for the long term. So we're looking to we have in essence established that and put that for the long term there. Just a few stats on what the fantastic volunteers have been doing here. In fact, we've got in the back room there, this side, there's about 120 donated bags that came in last night from New Inn, from the tin on the wall. And I'd just like to, informally thank all those people in New Inn for those generous donations. You've absolutely been fantastic for the community in donating as you are. And the community and myself and all the team here greatly appreciate it. So our volunteers are in there running around like ants at the moment, trying to get the stuff all sorted. So I hope they'll pop in and have a look around in a moment or two. Well, up to date, just a few statistics. We've delivered food parcels to 563 families across Torfaen. We've covered in excess of 19,000 items have been delivered. So we keep a track of everything that comes in and everything goes out. So there's 19,000 items been delivered from here across Torfaen. We've had donations from 208 sources. That includes individuals and local supermarkets. So in itself, that's fantastic. It just shows what the people out there really come in to understand, the community first. We survive as a community by all pulling together. We survive as a community by sort of being ourselves and recognising the values and putting those forward. We've also received monetary donations of £228 as well from people in the community to help buy foods and things like that. Massively appreciated. I mean, you're all brilliant people out there, and what a community to live in Torfaen when you see this going on. Absolutely gorgeous. Thanks.
Thank you for that. And we can see clearly, I think, as like many organisations across Torfaen and community venues have really sort of pulled together, in the last couple of months to coordinate a lot of the work, particularly around food banks and food parcels. So thank you for that. We're now going to move on to our next group, which is Striker Called Choir. Or Striker Called Cymru, and that is a stroke association. It's the Stroke Association choir who before sort of COVID met quite frequently and used to practice. And we've got I know we've got a few members from the choir itself, and we've got Lauren Heath who supports the choir. So I'd like to bring Lauren in firstly to say a few words.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so Striker Called, they're a Stroke Association voluntary group, and they formed in 2014, and they support stroke survivors and their carers through song in the Torfaen community. So a third of stroke survivors can be left with a communication difficulty called aphasia, and singing is really great for this. So the choir can often have members that will attend that can really struggle with speaking and kind of just day-to-day life, but they're able to sing, and it really makes a massive difference to their confidence. So I just think they're absolutely fantastic, as I would. But even during lockdown, they haven't stopped. They're still meeting. They still do weekly sessions over Zoom. And the really great thing now is that they've opened up their sessions to stroke survivors all across Wales to help them during this difficult time. So they're just really great. And as Callum says, there are a number of members here. So we've got Bob, who is their chairman. I can see Anthony, Nick, who is the treasurer. We have Ness, who is the secretary. I can see Peter. I hope I haven't missed anybody else, or I will be in trouble. But I know Nick, the treasurer, did want to say a few words on how the choir has benefited him. So if there is anybody else in the choir that wants to come in after Nick just quickly to say anything, then just let us know.
Thank you. We are excellent choir. Striker chord, Cumbraen, aphasia and stroke, singing and laughter. Ali Stone, director, brilliant. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Nick. I'm not sure. I know we've got Peter, who I spoke to a little earlier on the session, who's with us. So I don't know whether if Peter wanted to come in and say a few words. But for myself and TVA, I've gone out and visited the choir and their weekly group at their centre, and it's a real friendly group. I was like I said, I was lucky enough to come and visit towards the end of last year, and I can see how active you are and how how important you are to support those with strokes and that have had a stroke, and through, like you said, through the choir and that kind of thing. I've seen a bit of that as well, and that's all amazing work. So Peter, I don't know whether you're able to hear us, or if you'd like to come in. Yeah. You're more than welcome to, if you'd like.
Yeah, thank you, Callum. Yeah, 2014, when the choir started, there was hardly enough to have a quartet, let alone a full choir. Now there's over 30 members, and I think people like Nick, Bob, Ness, Anthony, who struggle very often to find the right words to say, when they're singing, it's marvellous. They can get all the words out, they can never forget them, they pronounce them correctly, and I think it's a wonderful, wonderful organisation, and I'm proud to be a member of it. And I think it's done a lot of people a lot of good. Right. Thank you, Nick.
Lovely. Thank you, Peter. I couldn't agree more there with what you said.
This is a word from the Third podcast and the Volunteer Awards 2020.
Our next group is the Friends of Fishponds Park. Now, I know we've got a few members joining us, and again, I'd like to bring in Anthony Hunt to say a few words on Friends of Fishponds Park, and then to introduce one or two members that we may have with us from their group.
Well, Friends of Fishpond Park started, I think it's 5 years ago now, when a group of residents were concerned about the state of the local park, and they decided to volunteer, to get involved, to make a difference. And they've made a massive difference, not only to the physical state of the park, which was, in the shade of its former glory, is now as good as it's ever been, if not better. They've tended to all the physical parts of the park. They're renovating, I should say, the pavilion building, but not just the physical state of the park. They've made the park again a key part of the community in that part of Panteg, in that part of Griffstown and Sebastopol, because not only do they meet once or twice a week to help sort of improve the park and do the necessary maintenance alongside the work that's done by the council. They also have created a real community spirit. They hold events when we're outside of these lockdown times, and that they've really sort of brought that part of our community together. So I just wanted to use these awards really to say thank you to them, because the difference that they've made is really immeasurable.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Anthony. I know we have got one or two members joining us from Friends of Fishponds Park.
Okay, can I do that, Callum, please? Shirley.
Yes, Shirley. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you. A few of us were going to be involved this morning, but unfortunately the IT has overcome some of us, so apologies for that. as Anthony has just said, we've been working in the park for some 5 years now. In fact, we set up in June 2015, following 2 very well-attended public meetings. And I'm happy to say we have a thriving group of volunteers. We often have over 20 on a Saturday morning coming to work in the park. And again, as Anthony has said, the social side of that is almost as important to us as the community input, the maintenance and improvement of the park, which is really very good now. We've made huge strides since we started. We had nothing, literally nothing to start with. We were given some old tools by Torfaen Council, and then people started bringing us all sorts of things. We all donate to the park as well as working in it. We make a donation to buy back our own tea and coffee and cake on Saturday morning. We bring our surplus produce from the allotment and we buy it back. So we've made quite a lot. We've had wonderful support from our local councillors who've made contributions to us when they've been able. And from all sorts of other organisations in the community of Griffithstown and Sebastopol, whether they're donating financially or work. We've had local plasterers knock down and replace a ceiling in the pavilion. We've had electrical companies, plumbing companies, all giving us their work free of charge, which has been wonderful. When we started, we had to spend what little money we were able to raise on plants for the park. But a couple of our members, and I must mention in particular Gareth Herbert, also Lyndon Jones, who now purchase plug plants, and we grow all our own, and they take cuttings and propagate plants and so on. So instead of having to buy plants now, we grow our own, and if we have any surplus, we sell them to people coming through the park and raise funds for ourselves in that way. So can I just say thank you to Anthony for nominating us, and to TVA Callum for organising and hosting this. It's very nice to be recognised, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of our trustees and associate members, as well as I'm sure for the community residents who use the park so well now and who support us. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you for those words, Shirley. And as I mentioned, we'll look to come out when we can and present you with your certificate and meet some members of the group and see that work that you've been doing. So thank you for that. We are now going to move on to our last group. Now, unfortunately, the Torfaen breastfeeding peer supporters couldn't join us this morning, but Lena Edwards, who works with the peer supporters, had nominated and had wanted to recognise the peer supporters for the work that they do throughout Torfaen, one-to-one with women on breastfeeding support. So we are going to be going out and visiting them over the next couple of weeks to recognise them. But with that, I think we're going to move on to our individuals. So we've got some individuals that we're going to start to recognise. And can I just say thank you to all the groups for attending and saying a few words there. And it's obvious that there's lots of good work happening throughout our borough. So I'm going to bring in firstly Anthony Hunt again, and then Gareth Brown, who's joining us for his work with, as it was mentioned earlier, the Griffithstown Coronavirus Support Group. So Anthony, if you'd like to say a few words and then bring Gareth in.
This is related really to the nomination for Pentec House, because Gareth has been a key sort of fulcrum in the local response to the coronavirus crisis. He helped, alongside his wife, set up the Griffithstown Coronavirus Support Group, and they've been absolutely phenomenal. They've been really well organised, thanks to the work of Gareth and others, in helping people who need food delivered, for linking people with the support at Pantec House and other organisations, for helping check up on people who are vulnerable or maybe isolated, to doing things like prescription collection, and helping keep the queues down at our local pharmacy, and also providing people with a safe way of getting their medicines. All that and more. And Gareth's been such a key part of that. Their organisation has really been brilliant, thanks to Gareth and thanks to others who've pitched in. Everyone in Griffithstown, I think, has had 3 or 4 leaflets through the door saying, look, if you need help, here's how to come by it. They set up a sort of cascade system on WhatsApp, so that as volunteers, people get spread the requests, and then they can volunteer to participate in them. So it's really been both a triumph, I think, of organisation, but most importantly, of course, of community spirit and the willingness of people who've got very busy lives. I know Gareth's got a very busy life, a family and work, but has been prepared to make himself busier to help other people, and I think that's really worth recognising. So I was really pleased to be able to nominate him today, and to say thank you for the work he's done and the difference that he's made to our community. From us as local councillors, Dave, Norma and myself are tremendously appreciative, as are so many other people across Griffithstown and Sebastopol.
I spoke to Gareth earlier in the week, and it came as a bit of a surprise, I think, as a bit of a shock. So, Gareth, if you're able to come in and say a few words about the work that you've done with the group.
Thanks, Anthony, for the introduction and the nomination. Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, and a little embarrassing, because I'm very much a team player, and our support group just wouldn't have taken off and functioned the way it has without all the support and involvement of volunteers within the community. Claire and I did have the idea back in March on a very rare date night, as we've got 4 kids, to set the group up. And it was soon apparent that the demand was going to be far greater than we could just manage ourselves. Like Anthony said, my wife and I both work full-time. I'm a police officer. My wife's a PCSO down in Newport, 4 children. So it needed that additional support to help us and to service the demand from the community. Really, since then, we've just been able to adapt and evolve to service the different demands within the community. Initially, we started off running errands for people, which continues. One of our biggest commitments was to assist the local pharmacy and everyone within the community with organised prescription runs. We were doing 20, 30 a day on occasions, to help people out who were shielding, who didn't want to leave the house, and to stop the queues for the pharmacy. I'm really glad that Alan Peplow and the Pantec House Committee have been recognised, because David Yole approached me early on because of our network of volunteers. We had 150 people volunteer on the books at one point, to say, could we assist with the setting up of the food share out of Pantec House. And Alan has just worked with the team there, particularly Mel and Liz and the other guys on the committee, just tirelessly to make that a massive success. The money that we've managed to raise, of which it has been a significant amount, that goes into purchasing additional food share items, sort of the short date things, milk, eggs, etc. And there's always plenty of volunteers every week who will go up to the food share, put the boxes together, and go out delivering. So we've been adapting as we go along, and we can definitely see this being a long-term project, especially with the financial impact now moving forward of COVID-19 and people being out of work and falling out of furlough. I really want to say thank you to the team, and really it should be a team award for the group, and I will be crossing my name out and putting the group's name on the certificate. or at least making sure that everyone knows that this is for them. The other week they all get their heads together and organised a uniform swap. So we had lots of uniform donated and then given out to people who were struggling to clothe the kids ready for going back to school. There's so many people I could mention as well. There's three. Well, we had to set up a small committee initially to be a certified group, and the three ladies, the secretary Laura Bartley, the treasurer Lorna Virgo, and the membership secretary Eve Jones, they make the group tick on a daily basis. I've had to sort of reduce my commitment over the last couple of months because of ill health, but those three ladies are irreplaceable, and their leadership and commitment and that of all the volunteers has made the group a huge success, and hopefully we've made a difference to those within the community who needed help. So thank you very much for the award, and I very much see it as for the group, not just for me.
Thank you for that, Gareth. I know, from TVA sort of working in the last couple of months, we've done a lot of work with in particular the Griffithstown coronavirus support group, and now we can clearly see how active they have been and the good work that they're doing. I think not only in Griffithstown and those areas, but a little wider as well. So yes, thank you for that, Gareth.
This is a word from the Third podcast and the Volunteer Awards 2020.
We're going to move on to our next individual that we're going to recognise, which is Ron Ford, who does lots of work throughout Torfaen environmentally, litter picking and that kind of thing. So yeah, again, it's Anthony Hunt to bring in Anthony Hunt to introduce Ron, and I know Ron is joining the Panteg Hall committee. So if then Ron could come in and say a few words about the work that he's been doing for many years.
Thanks, Callum. It's the last time you have to hear from me, I promise. So sorry if you're sick of the sound of my voice. But I really wanted to recognise Ron for the work he does throughout the borough, really. He really is a local legend, I think, and a colossus in the work that he does to tackle the scourge of littering. He works very closely with Keep Wales Tidy and with our environmental team at the council. And the amount of litter he picks up and the difference that he makes to the physical environment of the community is huge. And I think that's important because part of the community is about its community spirit, and Ron demonstrates that hugely. But another part of the community is about the physical fabric of it, and about how that makes people value or not value their surroundings and act accordingly. So I think not only does Ron make a difference to the local environment, to keeping the amount of litter on our verges down and in public areas down, but he also makes a big difference to the community as a whole. So I really wanted to thank Ron for his work, and just like Gareth, I'm sure he'll be very effusive and mention that he's part of a team. But that's why I wanted to nominate both of them, really, because they are team players. But every team needs, spearheads, pioneers as part of that team to help drive things forward, and I think Ron certainly fits into that category. So again, I'd like to thank Ron for everything he does, and thank you to TVA for recognising him today.
Yes, thank you, Karen. Thank you, TVA, and thank you, Anthony, for nominating me this morning. It might be a little figure to bear in mind with volunteering. Of the year 2018-19, the contribution to the exchequer for volunteers was estimated to be 23.7 billion. That's to this country. It's amazing. I retired 8 years ago, always picked litter, but decided to join Keep Wales Tidy as a litter champion. And carried on, resisting the urge for people to join me. I thought, it's too much hassle. And then On the 28th of July 2018, I set up, with the help of people that were interested, Torfaen Litter Champions TLC. And since 2018 of that date, we've actually, bags only, because it doesn't include lorry loads of litter then, but bags only, we've collected 2,487 bags of litter. And as I said, that doesn't include the lorry loads of fly tipping. They are a remarkable team. Absolutely. I take them into some filthy situations, and I'm continually apologising for doing so. We are making inroads and there are successes, but it still means that the problem exists out there, whereby people think they can just dispose of their litter by simply throwing it out of their car window or dropping that bag down by the bus stop, sort of thing, you know. So it is a team effort. There is no I in the word team. So I do appreciate this, and I accept it on behalf of Torfaen Litter Champions, TLC. Once again, thanks to everyone for bringing this together. Thank you also here to Pantig House for allowing me to use the room with them this morning. Thank you, Callum, for trying to get me up and running this week. Quite a task. I look forward to hearing more of these stories of volunteers. Absolutely remarkable. Well done, Torfaen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for that. To our next individual, and we've got Anthony Purcell, who volunteers with Torfaen Citizens Advice. So I'm going to bring in Mal Edson, who's the Chief Executive Officer with Torfaen Citizens Advice.
Thank you, Callum, and thank you for putting on this awards event. It's certainly the first one that I've been involved in. We wanted to recognise Tony at this event. Tony's one of many volunteer advisors who give their time to us at Torfaen Citizens Advice Bureau. Tony's been with us for nearly 10 years. I think it will be 10 years in September. And he's given thousands of hours over that time volunteering for us. 2 days a week over all that time. Tony has helped literally thousands of people over those years, not just in Torfaen, but also through. He's one of our rare volunteers who likes to do telephone advice work for Adviceline Wales. And we estimate that over that period, Tony's probably helped something over 4,000 people. And we know that advice changes lives, and on rare occasions, advice can even save lives. But it's difficult to quantify. I think we could probably take a reasonably educated guess that those individuals that have had Tony's help over the years have gone on to benefit collectively for probably something between £4 and £5 million better off as a result of the work that Tony's either done with them or started off with them. So it's a great privilege to put Tony up for this award. I should say that in addition to volunteering for us, in Tony's other spare time, he also gives advice to people who leave messages on the National Citizens Advice Facebook group, and he's known by Citizens Advice nationally as one of a small group of people that help out in that way. So we're really proud of the work that Tony does, and wanted to thank him and recognise him for doing that.
Thanks, Mal. I'm really glad to be here. I've been, as he said, doing this for nearly 10 years. and really enjoyed it. I joined it when I retired to get my mind active and keep it active. And I really wanted to do something for the community, for people directly. And I think, I have done that and I've enjoyed it. But the thing I've been doing, of course, during lockdown, of course, is sitting at home with the telephone, helping people on the telephone, which is, as Mal says, is one of my main likes in terms of giving advice. And I think, it's really helped people. It's not been all to do with coronavirus. In fact, I've had all sorts of people ringing me with all sorts of issues, lots of family issues, for instance, and things like that. So I'm really pleased that I've been nominated. But again, like other people have said, I think it's something that really, it's an award that I'm taking for the whole of the volunteers at Torfaen Citizens Advice. It's I can't do it without other people, and perhaps they can't do it without me, but really I enjoy it.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Tony. I know, speaking to Alison, the volunteer coordinator here at Torfaen Citizens Advice, she was, she very much recognised the work that you do and active over the last couple of months as well, in a time where face-to-face couldn't happen, and that you was able to still do some volunteering from home and over the phone. So I know she was very keen to recognise you. And for those of you that don't know, TVA and Citizens Advice have recently joined an office space. So we're working closer together, more than ever really at the moment. So I look forward to being able to meet you in person, Tony, when it's safe and we're able to do so. So thank you for that.
This is a word from the Third podcast and the Volunteering Awards 2020.
So we are going to move on now to our next individual, which is Nicola Vale. I hope I pronounced that right, Nicola. And we've got Nicola and Mark who nominated Nicola. So I'd like to bring Mark in from Growing Space to say a few words alongside Nicola, if possible.
Callum, you might notice that we've got a slight change of venue. We've gone outside for technical reasons, we'll say.
Right, so okay.
It's been a bit blowy and the gazebo goes off, and then you know why.
Right.
I've been working with Nick since probably November, and Nick's been volunteering sort of from there. And early on, Nick worked really hard. But what really set Nick, if you want, apart from the rest, was through lockdown, through COVID. And we've got a couple of guys here who are going to speak about Nick as well before Nick says anything. Because through the lockdown, Nick has been absolutely superb. The kind of work ethic and the kind of things that she's done, the commitment, the selflessness. Superlatives. Just loads we could put towards this. But I think that rather than me say loads of waffly stuff, I'm going to bring one or two of the guys in, because these are the guys who can really tell you what Nick means to the team, because that's what this is all about. So the first one, because she's busting to get in here, is our queen herself. Don't trip over the wire.
No, I won't.
Brilliant.
Hi. My son comes up here. He was very quiet, never went anywhere, didn't do a thing. He was indoors 24/7. He started coming up here and he's opened up and he's become brilliant, all because Nicola's help. He doesn't trust a lot of people, but Nicola, with her smile and her energy and her support, has brought him up no end. He has just got his hygiene certificate, which he would never have done years ago. She has been a brilliant support to all of us, including me, because I had nowhere to go and nothing to do either. We've had Zoom chats, we've played games on the computer, we've done lots of different things. We have art packs, we have quizzes, and it's endless. And as I said, I couldn't support Nicola enough for this award because she is brilliant. That's all I can say, really. Thank you.
That's lovely. That's some lovely words there. Thank you.
It's great. Because one of the things that we did through the lockdown was to set up a WhatsApp group, and the group contains between 18 and 25 people. And I mean, Nick, for the first 3.5 months, it was 7 days a week, sometimes 12-hour days. I mean, so the hours that Nick clocked up are just enormous. So I mean, and we can't put in words, if you want, what that actually meant to these guys, because I mean they're the ones that kind of, and lots of them were kind of self-isolating for months on end. So I mean, it's that commitment that we want to recognise today. There's one or two others here that have said they don't want to speak. I mean, I'm going to give it one more go, just in case. Go on, Sarah.
Go on, Sarah.
Hi, my name's Sarah. I've been attending the centre now for quite a while. The support shown from Nicola has been amazing to us all. Mark as well. Like we've had weekly. One of them would come and drop off art packs that had been made up, which have been a godsend to everyone. There's art packs. There was lots of activity packs, which people have just found amazing, and like the WhatsApp groups as well. That has been started, like, you know, during all this has been excellent. And like you say, Nicola, if she's always there to support us and help us if needed. She's just simply the best.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for that. It's clear, obviously, with the two ladies who spoke there, it's clear how appreciated you are, Nicola. So, and how you've been able to adapt, I guess, through the last couple of months. So, I don't know, Mark, if Nicola wants to come in and say a few words, or is she still with you?
She's building up to it.
Right. Hiya, Nicola.
Hi. Well, I'm just completely honoured to be having this award today, and even more honoured to be working alongside a fantastic group of participants within Growing Space. Their strength, grit and determination throughout the COVID. There's been some really challenging times, but they've all stuck it out, and I think they've all come out a little bit stronger as well. Well, in fact, a lot stronger than what they went into it with. So thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you, Nicola. And I think, as I've mentioned, we'll be looking to come out and present the certificates in person. So I really look forward to meeting you and coming out and visiting.
And thank you for the cakes and the chocolate.
Oh yes, thank you.
That's okay. So moving on then to our next individual, and I'd like to bring in Sarah from Hope GB, who's with Joshua, and it's actually our only sort of young volunteer that's been recognised, outside of the Torfaen Youth Forum group.
Good morning. It's lovely to be with you, and thank you for recognising Joshua as one of your volunteers today. I'm Sarah, and I'm the chairperson for Hope GB. And if you don't know about us, we are an autism charity. Sarah is one of our volunteers who helps us with our youth club. We usually run weekly, or we had been doing before lockdown, running a youth club service just for young people who have a diagnosis of autism and who live in Torfaen. If I tell you a bit more about Josh, so Josh has been volunteering with us now for about 4 years, but he was such a fantastic volunteer that we invited him to stay on, and he's kind of been with us ever since. He's a great role model for our young people. The young people who come to our club are all sort of individual and different. Autism is a communication difficulty, so very often the young people we support need somebody to support them, perhaps with communication, to play alongside them, to engage them in activities, to role model good behaviour. and Josh is great at doing all of that, and we were happy to nominate him to be recognised for that as well today.
Thank you for that, Sarah. We did, I think, I experienced some issues with sound there myself. We was cutting out at little points, but I think that may be our connection. But I certainly managed to catch the most of that, and why you're looking, you wanted to recognise Joshua. So I'm not sure if Joshua is still on the meeting with us, and if so, I'd like to give him a chance to come in and say a few words if he wanted.
First, I'd like to thank Sarah for nominating me and all the work she does for the youth club and the outreach support group. And also, volunteering at Hope GB has been so rewarding, and I thoroughly enjoyed it for the last few years. And I'd like to thank all the groups and individuals nominated today for their hard work helping the community.
This is a podcast from Torfaen Volunteer Alliance.
We're actually going to move on to our next individual, which is Stephen Potter, who I'm not sure whether he's able to join us, but Stephen Potter does some volunteering with the Aneurin Bevan University Health Board, and in particular the Ffrindiau Me befriending project. And I know that we've got Claire Campbell joining us from the project this morning, who's going to say a few words and possibly accept on Stephen's behalf. So Claire, if you're able to hear us, could you come in?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Callum. Stephen isn't able to join us today as he's on holidays, unfortunately. But I wanted to nominate Stephen because he's one of our very first Ffrindiau Me volunteers. Ffrindiau Me is a befriending service organised by Aneurin Bevan Health Board. And we recruit volunteers that have a bit of spare time to go out into the community and visit somebody who is lonely and isolated. So Stephen actually visits 2 clients in Torfaen. And during lockdown as well, he telephoned them instead of going to visit because we were unable to visit. And since lockdown restrictions have eased a little, Stephen has been out to visit the clients in their gardens when the weather allows us to do so. So he's just really, he's kind and considerate, and he's just a really good volunteer. So I just wanted to nominate him today. So thank you.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Claire. And, we'll be sure to come out and catch up with Stephen when we can, and hopefully he's enjoying his holiday. So thank you for that. We will now go and an earlier individual. So I'd like to recognise one that we mentioned earlier. So I'm going to bring in Olivia, and I believe we're joined by Lee now.
Hi, yeah. I'd just like to say a few words about Lee. She volunteers for us in Torfaen Youth Service in a range of settings. So she does school work with us, but mainly she does youth clubs in the evenings. And she's always got a boot full of activities. She brings in enthusiasm. She's an asset to our team. We don't see her anymore as just a volunteer. We see her as a dedicated member of our team. During the virus, when we've all been in lockdown, she's selflessly put herself out to do detached work. So she's out every evening doing the activities with the young people on the streets, and she's always willing to put herself out, even though she has 2 other jobs and kids. So we all really appreciate you, Lee.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Olivia. And if Lee's able to come in and say a few words about her work that she's been doing.
Okay, I'd just like to thank Olivia, first of all, and the Youth Service for nominating me. I've been involved with the Youth Service for the past year and a half, working, like Olivia said, with youth clubs and schools. I've also had the opportunity to go on trips with the Youth Service as well, which has been really good. It's been a really rewarding role, and it's given me some great opportunities, and I've met some fantastic people along the way. And as a result, I'm now looking at pursuing a career in youth work. So thank you.
Yeah, you really are amazing, Lee. Thank you. Thank you, Callum, for the cakes as well. They're delicious.
Thank you for the cakes.
So we have contacted lots of local businesses and organisations throughout Torfaen who felt it was really important, I guess, to recognise the contribution of volunteers, and that they all wanted to contribute towards these awards or celebration, I guess, this morning. So we're going to move into what we're calling, like I said, a special thank you from your community, and it's a bit of a gift draw. So you'll all receive various vouchers and gifts from your local community. That brings us to an end, really, of that sort of a thank you from the local community. We'd like to say from Torfaen Volunteer Alliance a big thank you to all the local businesses and organisations who supported us and contributed towards our awards. I mean, contributions haven't only come in the form of prizes or gifts, should I say, and vouchers. We was pleased to work with Go Local, who contributed towards the certificates behind us. And the lovely cupcakes you should have all received is from a local business in Cwmbran who we was pleased to work with, called Chloe's Cupcakes. And I know that she was looking for some feedback on the cupcakes, and she was asking us yesterday how people would enjoy them. So I will go back and give her the positive feedback on those.
And don't forget to upload a photo if you manage to take a selfie before eating it.
Yeah, we're going to be retweeting and liking, sharing all those throughout our social media over the course of the afternoon. So yeah, we just wanted to put a special thank you out to all those businesses and organisations who supported us.
Yeah, and I think it's important to add it. I think it just shows that although it's not within the voluntary sector, that these private businesses really see the value of the contribution that you make on a daily or weekly or yearly basis of just offering your time and supporting your community. So when reaching out to these businesses, they were really keen to be involved and contribute what they could, and especially during this difficult time. Businesses are financially not necessarily in a good position, but yet they still value your contribution and offered a donation, which I think is really, really good and shows how much that is valued across all sectors.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. That's brilliant. That brings us to an end, really, for our celebration this morning. So I think it's important to, as we've said, recognise volunteers, but mostly, bringing people together this morning. You've all had an opportunity to hear about the sort of fantastic work that's happening all across Torfaen from groups and individuals. Hopefully you'll have had an opportunity to, like I said, hear about the groups and maybe make some connections yourself. But yeah, with that, it's a close. And like I said, thank you for joining us.
It's a Word from the Third podcast with the Volunteer Awards for 2020 from Torfaen Volunteer Alliance. Congratulations to all the winners and everybody taking part. You are simply amazing. And don't forget, if you want to contact TVA, Torfaen Volunteer Alliance, for anything regarding the third sector here in Torfaen, get in touch regarding funding, volunteering, any kind of support or governance. info@tvawales.org.uk. You can also find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at TVA Torfaen. Or of course on the website, it's all there at www.tvawales.org.uk. This podcast is produced by TVA, Torfaen Volunteer Alliance.